Yes, sir. Are we live? Are we live? Are we live? Okay, I feel like we're live right now. We are live. Guys, welcome back to Ball Knowledge. I'm zozomilli. We're here to break down real quick Barcelona's loss to Girona, the worst defense in Europe right now. Barcelona have the worst defense in Europe right now. It sucks. It's tough to say. Those are the things you don't want to hear, especially when you're going for the Champions League and you feel like you have one of the best coaches, a coach that has won the treble, and still we have the worst defense in Europe right now. Guys, welcome back to Ball Knowledge. I'm zozomilli. Let's get it. This is what, the 16th minute. Crazy enough, in this game, we did create chances, but for some weird reason, it wasn't going our way. It just wasn't going our way. And that's because when you start the game from beginning, you have to go to certain things. Look at this. Look at this. Let's start from here. Let's go here, right? Look at the lineups. That's how you know, first of all, where the mistake was made. That's how you know where the mistake was made. Ferran Torres, Rafinha, Lamine. That's not a bad starting front three. Danny Olmo, Frankie de Jong, Fermin Lopez. That's where your problem starts. That is where your problem starts. That is not the midfield of your dreams. You feel me? That is not the midfield of your dreams. All right? Now, let's go. Start the game unlucky because Rafinha actually started with, you feel me, but the finishing was off. So we go, another chance. This chance, Lamine should have passed the ball, or at least better finishing. That's where we have to start from. I've been seeing some things from Lamine this season that, if I just have to be honest, I am not okay with. I am not okay with Lamine throwing your arms in the air, moving like you are the best player ever, which you are the best player, one of the best players in the world right now. But if you are going to be throwing your arms in the air when people don't pass the ball to you, then bro, finish your chances, man. Look at this, bro. You had the time to do whatever you want. Like, it's up to you now to decide. What do I want to do with this chance? What do I want to do with this chance? But for some weird reason, Lamine's finishing is still, look at how much space you had here. Nothing to show for it. But you now want to be raising your arms when guys aren't giving you the ball. Don't do that with me, bro. Don't do that in this team. Don't try that in this team. Okay. You missed that chance. Now, look at this. How many games have we broken Barcelona down where 1, 2, 3, right? They too have 1, 2, 3, 3-on-3. But look at how much space they have. Look at how much space they have. There's no way in hell this defense can win the Champions League. There is no way in hell this defense can win the Champions League. I'm seeing it now. Right. This was 28 minutes in. Oh. Now, before, your keeper should not even, like, the keeper is under so much pressure. Look at Kunde one-on-one. Look at this dumbass Kubasi here. What are you looking at, Kubasi? You. This guy. Your whole job now in this play should be watching the run. That should be your whole job. Watching the run. So what are you doing? What are you doing? What are you on? Kubasi, I love you, but you're walking on thin ice, my boy. You are walking on thin ice. Now, this play goes on. He follows the run. That guy knows. And so, another save. How many saves? Look at this. Look at this, right? Let's go to the stats. Let's go to the stats real quick. 4 shots on target. They had 9 shots on target, but we had 12 shots on off target. They had 3. So they had 16 shots, and they had we had 16 shots. They had 12. Out of 16, we can only generate 4 on target. So for those people telling me that, oh, the Hansi Flick way is to out attack your opponent, this is flawed. This is a flawed thing already. Now, I feel like goalkeeper saves 7-4. God, 7-4. Let's look at this, right? Let's look at this real quick. Let's just look at this real quick, because people think this is when Inigo Martinez was back there. Barca 4, Girona 1. This is last season. This is just 10 months ago. This is just 10 months ago. Real quick, in the 7th minute, we're already giving them trouble. Another couple seconds later, penalty. Lamine going in, destroying guys, trouble. Look at how many chances in the first 28 minutes. Look at how many Barcelona chances I've already shown you. That's the difference between what we are doing this season and what we were doing, the nonsense we were doing last season. Now, look at how much space we're giving them. This is still last season though, but look at what happens. Defense is there. Number one issue right now with Barcelona is this guy called Pedri. Even when Rafinha is back, if there's no Pedri, there's no gameplay. Look at Pedri on the ball. Just look at him. Look at the decision making when he wins the ball back. Everybody calm down. Like, bro, this is 10 months ago. It's not, this is just 10 months ago. Peppering them. Okay, now let's see. Look at how they scored. That was Araujo. Let's not talk about Araujo right now. But this is just 10 months ago. We were destroying this guy 4-1. Let's look at that goal. Bro, so now you want to tell me that in 10 months, you take out Lewandowski, take out Ferran Torres, and take out Pedri. This is what happens. This is exactly what happens. Hit the bar. That one was unlucky. Dani Olmo, penalty. What happened? We hit the bar again. Let's say that penalty. Now, what was wrong with this penalty? That was a good penalty, I won't lie, but I mean, you are playing your way out of taking penalties for this team if these are you want to be doing it. Lucky goal. Going first after 58 minutes. Next thing you know, look at their goal. Look at how annoying. Look at how annoying it is. God. I'm just going to say it straight. There is no way we are winning anything with defense like this. We're just not doing it, man. We're just not doing it. There's no way we can win any. Like, Madrid are now 2 points ahead. So, anybody that was thinking, oh, maybe there's. No. I still believe. You feel me? It can still happen. But If you guys think we can win the Champions League like this, we're joking. We're joking. We're joking. That's the truth. We're just joking. What do these guys have to say?
Madrid on 60 points, Barcelona on 58. Get this, Ian. Real Madrid on top of La Liga after a match day for the first time since November the 24th, 2025, which was match day 13. It was a great performance from Girona. They managed to hold on. We have to talk about the controversy, the foul in inverted commas, was it or wasn't it, in the lead up to the winning goal. What did you think?
Well, first and foremost, we say credit to Girona for getting the victory. It's a massive 3 points for them.
First of all, let's go to the foul. Because, yes, that should have definitely... The ref was tripping today, but there were too many rookie mistakes, man. Look at how many chances we considered. Chances on chances on chances. I need to go back to that Koundé one. Okay, Koundé was already hurt here. I think they'll show it on the replay. Bro, yes, they should have blown for Koundé, but man, there's too many holes.
In Barcelona now at that title race, decisions are impactful, right? Whether or not you win the title. Decisions have to be absolutely spot on, and I can guarantee you that the official got this one horribly wrong. Jules Koundé goes for the ball. Jules Koundé wins the ball first, plays it into the opponent. All of a sudden, he gets absolutely smashed on his ankle. He wins the ball first. So in my opinion, there should be 100% a foul there. It's actually very dangerous play as well, because he catches just above the angle, and there's no doubt in my personal opinion the referee missed that one. Video review also looked at that type of a decision and decided, no, we're not going to give that as a foul. In my personal opinion, that goal should have been taken away completely because of the foul on the top of the box. 100% a foul. I feel for Jules Koundé actually, because to me he wins possession of the ball, plays the ball into the opponent, then the foul takes place. But because he won...
It finishes then, Girona 2, Barcelona 1, and for the first time at the end of a match day in 85 days, it is Real Madrid who are top of the table, 2 clear of Hansi Flick's side. For more on this, let's welcome in Luis Garcia joins us. We'll be hearing from Luis in a moment. But Ali, there is absolutely no argument you can put up that Barcelona deserved anything more today.
No, and I suppose you can point to the penalty kick missed by...
What's this guy talking about? We hit the bar 2 times. What are you talking about? What are you talking about, bro? Where we hit the bar 2 times, they pushed De Jong. We've never talked about the De Jong push, and then Koundé.
Yamal, and say that could have changed the game. It could have changed the feeling of Girona going into halftime because they had chances, and it would have been the same story that they have had over the course of the season, in which they create chances, don't score goals, somebody else scores, and now here we go. The feeling of Girona and the Girona fans and Girona players may have changed. If you put that to the side and you just evaluate and analyze the second half of play, in fact, the whole 90 minutes, Girona, on balance, were better than Barcelona. Now, I know Barcelona fans are going to say, but we created chances, well, we missed the penalty, we had this opportunity, we had that opportunity. Well, that's also ignoring that Girona had opportunities everywhere. And with just a tiny bit better execution in the final third, they scored 3, 4, 5 goals. If we had to pick who the best player today was for Barcelona, I don't think there's any doubt that we say Joan Garcia. He gave up 2 goals, and yet he continues to be the best player on the field.
That is a problem. Your goalkeeper can have 7 saves versus Girona when you created 16 shots and still manage. You created more shots than your opponent, less shots at goal, and your keeper now had to make more saves than theirs. Like, what kind of dumbass tactics are these guys playing? I'm in support of Hansi Flick, and I'm telling you, the Hansi Flick model works. The Hansi Flick model works. The problem is the personnel aren't good enough.
You everything that you need to know about the performance of Barcelona today and the performance of Girona for that matter. Give them some credit. But to your point, Dan, this was well deserved by Girona. This was not an accident. This was not a coincidence. Girona deserved to win this game. Barcelona deserved to lose it.
Speaking ahead of this game, we heard Hansi Flick, Luis, saying, hey, the Atletico Madrid, that doesn't define our season, that defeat midweek. Problem is now we've got back-to-back defeats in which neither of them, you can argue, Barcelona deserved anything from.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the problem. That's a big concern. When you go on the field and you see that Barcelona today, once again, not is that they dominated, it's that they didn't have the control. For me, when you try to make during a whole season. You try to bring the high line where you try to be dominating in the games, having the ball, having the possession, and creating chances. First thing that you have to have is the control of the game. And today, once again, they didn't control at all. Every single time that Girona was on the ball, it was unstoppable. They found the spaces, they found the gap.
Guys, I can't say enough. I can't say enough of how bad this was. I can't say enough. Like, okay, now that's the chance. Look at this. Let's slow-mo it. Let us slow-mo it. Let us put it in slow-mo. Let's put it in slow-mo, right? This is the goal. Look. Look at this. Tell me how this is not a foul on Koundé. You just tell me how. Somebody just try to convince me that this is not a foul on Jules Koundé, right? Let me take my stuff out of here. Tell me if you can explain to me how this is not a foul. Look at this. He wins the ball. You can't tell me he didn't win that ball. He won that ball. Look at this. Then, homeboy stepped on his foot. La Liga, how? This is the 88th minute. He won the ball. He won the ball. And then they stepped on it. And still, somehow, you're trying to explain to me. This cheating is how I know we're going to win La Liga, actually. You know what? Now I'm convinced. Because this is too much. This is way too much, man. This is way too much. Yes, they were better than us. Yes, they created chances. But at the very least, we deserve 1 point from this game. At the very least, this is not even taking into consideration the fact that we hit the bar twice, which it should have been 1-1.
And to create a chance, it's today in the last third they were not capitalizing all of them, but definitely they were a little bit more accurate on taking a bit more composed to have the right decisions. This game could have been 5-6 goals easily for Girona, because the first 45 we saw 3 easy ones, and in the second one exactly the same. So in the end, Barcelona got what they deserve. They tried, yeah, they create, yes, but they make so many mistakes. In one of those second chance goals, you can see the highline, and we complain about the highline, but it's not the problem of the highline. The problem is that when Valde receives the ball, gives the ball away quite easily, and then of course everyone is out of position. Transition again, and problem for Barcelona, and that's been the whole issue the whole season. When you are not on the ball is not under pressure, Barcelona cannot keep that continued high line. Or you track back, or once again you're going to have face-to-face against the keeper.
Here, and I thought it was interesting. You don't watch much La Liga, but you were saying to me, how is this team second in the league?
I mean, from a neutral point of view, they're highly entertaining to watch. And listen, I don't think Hansi Flick is under the illusion that playing that way, they're not going to concede goals. I think that the idea is that, you know, we've got the best players offensively, so we will outscore you. Leading up to all of those moments,
not just that, it is offside. The defensive plan is offside. Keep team. Look, how many times did Barca catch? Holy, that was a fruity sneeze. Did Barca catch teams offside last season? These guys don't even have it. Bro, I'm telling you, I've been offside 50 times. How many times did we catch teams? Have caught the opponent offside 99 times in 15 matches and have had 13 goals disallowed for offside. But last season, I'm telling you, I can find the stat somewhere. This is December 2, 2025. The team has successfully caught opponents offside a staggering 201 times across 36 official matches. That was last season, 201 times. This season, we've only done it 99 times in 15 matches. So we're not, 200. We're still not on pace to hit the ones we did last season. But that's the problem. The problem is, apart from outscoring your opponents by catching them offside or pressing them high and winning the ball in dangerous areas, the defensive strategy is to catch teams offside. But you need communication. You need everybody on the same. But then again, even after communication and everybody on the same wavelength, teams are smarter because teams were watching the film. Teams were looking and seeing that, okay, this is how you beat these guys. Because even as a last season, they were peppering us. Let's see what my
So
guy
Barcelona
has to
played
say.
yesterday in a very rare Monday night football in La Liga. Usually it never happens. Usually Madrid or Barca don't play in those Monday night games, but Barca played yesterday away from home at Estadio Montilivi, at Girona. They lost 2-1 in a game which had everything. A game which had a lot of drama, a lot of controversy, a lot of talking points, a lot that we need to break down, that we need to talk about, whether that is player related, whether that is penalty related, whether that is manager related, whether that's tactic related, whether that's the fact that Girona had more XG than Barcelona, and whether, of course, Girona's second goal should have stood, should have been disallowed. We will talk about everything in this video. This is what we've learned from yesterday's game between Barcelona and Girona. Before we get to the first talking point, make sure you're all right now.
Yeah, guys,
But
like
the first
the
half
video.
was very
Oh my
much both-sided. The first half, both teams could have scored 1 or 2 goals. Both teams had their own moments. Both teams had their own chances. Whether that is Barcelona, of course, missing the penalty, which we'll come to. Whether that is Rafinha hitting the woodwork. Whether that's Rafinha having another second moment, which just went wide. Whether that is Ferran having his moments. Whether that is Girona as well. Look at Girona. Girona had 2 massive saves. 2 big chances which they created. 3, to be fair. One of them wasn't even counted, but 3 massive chances. Whether that is the final pass missing or whether that's Juan Garcia making incredible saves, which he did throughout the whole game, which we'll talk about in terms of player performances. But the first half was very much both-sided. Both teams had chances. Both teams created a lot of space for each other, whether that's defensively, which is something which you look at Barcelona continuously, something which they do every single game. Because I feel like now, for opponents, everyone now knows how to attack Barcelona. Everyone now knows how to create chances against Barcelona. It's literally go on the right-hand side, go on the left-hand side, the ball over the top, expose the high line, either the cutback, either the cross, either the shot. There's so many ways now, and the blueprint is there, the case study is there, and every team is doing it. And
That's exactly what I've said over and over and over and over again. Now, let's look at Arsenal, for instance. I hope I can find Arsenal defending as a team. The art of defending by Arsenal 2025. This should be good. Because you need to find how they defend as a team. Immediately they lose the ball. You see everybody going back. Immediately. Look at how. I mean that Holland should scored that, but look. You can still play high and look at man back there real quick. This is the defense you're talking about, bro. Look at how many men they can take back there as soon as possible. And they press high too. Arsenal presses high. You can't tell me Arsenal don't press high. They press high, but look at what they're doing. Meanwhile, you have Barcelona doing dumbass nonsense. This is defending, bro. Look at how many, bro. Look at this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Even though this guy is open, he can't get that ball. And if he gets it, there's guys already. There's guys everywhere making sure. It's even the attackers are on the floor. Because guys are ready. This is what you call defense. This right here is what you call defense. Not that nonsense that Barcelona is doing. Not that rubbish. This is defense. Please. But then, how many times in these little clips that we've seen, how many times have we seen Declan being the one to come to the rescue? How many times? How many times have we seen the defender just jockey, but Declan get back? That's our problem. We have De Jong. De Jong is not good enough. See, the problem obviously starts from top. Lewandowski doesn't have the legs. Ferran can't finish the way Lewandowski does. So even when he gets his chances, he's not Lewandowski. So we don't have a good striker. Fine. Now you go to midfield. No Pedri, no build-up play. The De Jong has always I keep saying this from today till thy kingdom come. De Jong is a liability. He can't defend and he gives no assist. So his passing is just sideways, 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 and turning and holding his body. You need a DM that can support and break up play, because everything starts before it gets to your defense. And then when it now gets to your defense, you need men like these. You need men like these. Look at this. Look at what Martinelli and Saliba are doing, bro. Look at what Martinelli and Saliba. Look at how high they were, but look at how quick everybody's going back. This is the Madrid, though. Bro, this is defense. Not that nonsense we are doing. Not that BS we are doing. Look, Barca. Somebody now come and tell me that.
Barcelona from pretty much every other team in Europe. They take a fundamentally different approach to risk and reward. Hansi Flick has brought with him a set of rather extreme ideas, which can seem outrageous, but to this point have also been quite successful. The problem with extreme strategies though is while they're often effective for a while, the surprise eventually wears off, and this season we're seeing evidence that teams have figured Barcelona out and that an evolution may be necessary. But for a radical team with radical ideas, what does evolution actually look like? How much of your identity do you have to sacrifice in order to remain competitive? Today I'll be trying to answer those questions by analysing the underlying logic behind Flick's approach. I'll explain why they do what they do, and discuss whether a high risk, high reward style remains the best way to platform their squad. If we flick through Barcelona's recent fixtures, you'll notice a pretty common theme. As we can see here on FootMob, they're involved in a lot of high scoring games, and that's not by coincidence. You see, most teams, tactically speaking, are at least equally concerned with defending as they are attacking. That's to say, they're not just trying to score goals at all costs, no, they attack in a way that protects them defensively if they don't score. You could call this attacking to defend. The choices you make in attack are also, in a sense, defensive. And this is where Barcelona under Flick are radically different, because they don't attack to defend, they attack to attack. Almost every single choice Barcelona make is designed to increase their likelihood of scoring, regardless of the defensive impact, resulting in an explosive high-risk, high-reward game plan, where your objective is to simply outscore the opponent. Now, statistically, this game plan isn't always obvious. Last season, Barca took more shots than most teams in Europe and conceded the second fewest, making them appear very well balanced.
Whoa. Let's slow down. This guy is going too fast. Let's slow down. Shots taken per 90, number 3, 17.6. Shots conceded per 90, number 95, 7.6. So already you can see that it's not just by the high line. It's not just by the high line. You have to communicate. See, Inigo Martinez, what Inigo Martinez was doing in that team, people think it's a joke.
Look at the quality of those shots and you get a different story. What they created was very high quality, again, up there with the best. But they also conceded the highest quality chances in all of Europe.
Okay, now this is where the problem is. If you want to criticize Hansi, this is where the problem is, because this shot quality is a problem, because it means that the better your opponent in terms of finishing, the more games you lose.
Gotten worse this season. So while they don't concede a lot of shots, those they do are quite likely to turn into goals, which, as it turns out, is fine as long as you can score more than you concede. And in attacking to attack, Barcelona are built to do exactly that. So let's jump in and see how they do it, and why it fluctuates between brilliant and, frankly, absurd. First of all, I want to give you a clear picture of what I mean by attacking to defend, what most teams tend to do. And it usually revolves around trying to establish territory in possession. In my recent video on Manchester City, for example, we saw how Pep's strategy is all about moving the ball forward as a unit, so when you arrive in the final third, you are as compact as possible vertically. Now, different teams achieve this in different ways, but what's important is reaching this point of vertical compactness. You can see here Arsenal's entire team is between the centre circle and the edge of the box, and crucially, there are minimal distances between each line, so midfield and attack. And what this gives you is the ideal condition to counter-press if you lose it, because your players have smaller distances to cover and you can pressure your opponent's first touch. Now, of course, getting here isn't always easy and depends heavily on what the opponent is doing, but consider this the ideal scenario for most top teams. Alongside territory, there is also the concept of rest defense, so the actual positions players take up in order to win it back. Here we get into ideas like minimum width, where the far side winger tucks in rather than hugging the touchline, creating a more congested area that's harder to escape. Far side fullbacks also tend to be very disciplined with their positioning, tucking in and sitting on the edge of the box as part of that rest defense. So with these two elements, territory and position, teams construct their attacks to help them defend. So how are Barcelona different? Well, the key difference is that there seems to be less emphasis on territory and vertical compactness. It's a team that is prone to play with bigger distances between the lines. For example, it's very common when they break a line of pressure, they'll attempt to immediately attack the back line. One reason for these bigger distances are the freedoms that Flick gives to some players. In my video on De Jong and Pedri, we saw how these two players have license to drop deep and get on the ball without a rotation into their positions, creating bigger gaps between midfield and attack. Now, purely from an attacking perspective, these freedoms, along with the intent to attack quickly, are very powerful, because not only are you less predictable, able to threaten the back line at any moment, you also open up spaces that would otherwise be congested, allowing you to attack more frequently through the middle, for example. As a comparison, let's look at a different approach when a team breaks a line of pressure. Here, rather than attacking the back line directly, PSG elect to switch the play instead, and that actually becomes their trigger to gain territory and become more vertically compact. Now, obviously, this isn't black and white. All teams will be doing a bit of both, attacking directly sometimes, gaining territory sometimes, but generally speaking, Barca's priority leads more towards chance creation. And unsurprisingly, under Flick, Barca have had really high attacking output in terms of both frequency and quality of chances, with currently the most goals per game, shots per game, and big chances per game in La Liga. Again, that's because they can hurt you from basically anywhere at any time. But as I'm sure you've guessed, this comes at a cost. For one, you do take more risks and produce more turnovers. And secondly, it's also harder to counter-press when you lose the ball. If you're attacking with bigger distances between lines, there are bigger distances to cover for both midfield and defence, and it's a lot harder to pressure your opponent's first touch. It's also worth adding that even with territory, Barcelona seem less concerned with rest defence, once again prioritising attacking potential. Along with the midfielders, the fullbacks also have a higher degree of freedom, and you'll often see both of them ahead of the ball in attack. For example, if Koundé is providing width ahead of the ball, that doesn't stop Balde from also attacking the box. In fact, here, everyone is attacking the box. Now, it's not unheard of to attack with both fullbacks, but teams that do it usually balance that by building up with three at the back, which Barcelona don't do. So if the ball does bypass the pivots, then your two centre-backs can be very exposed. Now, in many games, this doesn't actually become a problem. Against low blocks, for example, taking these risks doesn't make much difference. You're going to have territory kind of by default, with less opportunity to break lines, so longer possessions are going to lead to better counter-pressing conditions. It's when teams start to become more aggressive defensively that Barca's risks become exposed, which is exactly what has started to happen. More teams are committing to a high line and man-to-man press. Last season, very few teams actually did this against Barcelona, maybe 2 or 3, but they ended up getting punished enough to deter anyone else from trying it. And that was largely down to Barca's threat in big spaces, thanks to the likes of Rafinha and Lewandowski. Through Lewandowski's hold up and link up under pressure, along with Rafinha's quality in behind, the attempts to play this way ended pretty badly. But losing this partnership through injury has made Barca less robust against the press. The forwards operate further apart, and it must be said, are less comfortable receiving with their back to goal, making it a very decent strategy to press them. And that leads to a strange scenario. Like we've just said, Barcelona don't mind going early into their forwards, but by going man-to-man, you actually create more situations for that to happen, because you open up more direct passing lanes. However, since Barca have been lacking the qualities to exploit that, you end up with neither team really in control, and a game that is very transition heavy, where the lines are stretched even more, and it's even harder to counter-press. You'll often see Barca midfielders arriving late to the ball, and then it only takes a couple of passes to expose that back line. Now, of course, there's no law that you have to press in this situation. Pedri could very feasibly drop off, and the team could defend in a block. But of course, that doesn't happen. And it's here we have to shift gears from Barca's possession philosophy to their defensive philosophy, because that's where Flick's ideas start to veer heavily from the norm, and the risk factor goes up yet another level. Jurgen Klopp once said that gegenpressing is the best playmaker, because winning the ball high up the pitch creates the best chance of scoring. And it's fair to say Hansi Flick subscribes to that idea, because Barcelona attempt to counter-press at almost every possible opportunity. Anytime there's a turnover in the game, they want to be applying pressure on the front foot rather than retreating into a block. And we see that very clearly in the data. Barca have one of the lowest PPDAs in Europe. This is half the reason their games against more aggressive teams can feel so chaotic. They're not only very vertical themselves, but by applying constant pressure, they force their opponent to do the same, which, as we've just seen, can end up with both backlines getting frequently exposed. However, it's not just their intent to press, but the way they do it that is the crux of their high-risk, high-reward strategy. So quite like Klopp's Liverpool back in the day, Barca press with all three forwards. That allows them to press the keeper and both centre-backs. So whenever there's a turnover, you can immediately step forward and put them under pressure. The issue is, if this first line gets bypassed, you have to do some weird things. So to press the fullback, you have to step up and press with your own fullback. That means your centre-back has to come across to the wide player, and everyone has to shift across. The intention, I think, is to trap players out wide using the pressure as well as the offside trap, which, don't worry, I will get to. But the problem is that this sequence has become entirely predictable, and in a lot of scenarios is extremely risky. The most common issue, which happens a lot in these transition-heavy games, is that the distance for the fullback to press becomes too big. They arrive late, there's an easy ball onto the winger, and we end up here. And if I was to condense this entire video into one image, it would be this.
Exactly.
The fullback with time on the ball, the winger is free, and there's loads of space to attack.
Exactly.
Unfortunately for Barcelona, this happens a lot, and it's happening even more as teams figure them out. Sevilla, for example, feigned to go into the fullback, but went directly into the winger from the goalkeeper, finding them before the centre-back had time to shift across.
And
PSG went with double width on both flanks in build-up, to tempt the fullbacks into no man's land.
For context, this is PSG, Inter Milan, Atletico Madrid, all our important games since Inter Milan probably. This has happened. In fact, the game we played before Inter, I think that might have been the Club Brugge game in the image he showed before. Exact same thing. So that begs the question, Hansi Flick, isn't it time to change? Isn't it time to change? If you're not going to change the system or tweak the system, because earlier in the season you did reduce the high line a little bit and made the guys drop into a low block quicker. Maybe it is time to change the personnel. Can we do that? Can we try that? Maybe it is time to change the personnel. Do something. You can't keep losing. Like, this guy is a generational coach. We don't have money. But what makes you an elite coach is being able to tweak and use what you have. Guys, this is Ball Knowledge. I'm zozomilli. I will be back after today's Champions League games. Probably tomorrow. Try to do a live again. Break down the games. And we'll talk some more. This is Zozo. And this is Ball Knowledge. See you guys when I see you.